Ladies and gents, welcome back to another video. Inside this little package is an iPhone 5S, and it's running iOS 7 or iOS 8. Not really sure because it's very hard to tell from the setup screen. Hopefully iOS 7, but let's get it opened up and find out. All right, here is our iPhone. It's definitely an iPhone 5S in the space gray color there. Looks to be in very nice condition. The back looks nice. The bottom looks pretty good. And the display looks essentially flawless. Let's see if this thing has any power or if it's going to turn on here. We're going to plug this in case the battery is low. Okay, I heard the charging sound. Let's see what happens here. All right, so as you can see, we have slide to unlock, which is only on iOS 7, 8, or 9. Based on the text, you can tell that it is iOS 7 or 8. But other than that, it's really hard to tell if it's 7 or 8 just based on that information. So we're going to go through the setup screen, and once we get to that home screen, we should know right away which version of iOS this is. Okay, check that out, iOS 7. I can tell right away because it's got the passbook icon with 3 rows instead of 4. I'm sure there are some other cues to give away iOS 7, such as the wallpaper, but this is awesome. Let's see which version we have. 7.1.2, so nothing too special, but iOS 7 on a 5S is still hard to come by, so I'm not going to complain about that. Super cool to see here. Of course, there's no battery health. Would be nice to check that. I don't think the 5S ever got battery health. I believe that was iPhone 6 and above, starting in iOS 11. Very nice. Let's see if that fingerprint sensor is working. And it is. Sometimes those don't work if they've been replaced. This is a gorgeous iPhone on iOS 7, the first 64-bit iPhone or smartphone in the world for that matter. Although Apple was criticized for this phone's size, at the time many other smartphones were quite a bit larger. This iPhone still has a 4-inch display, which looks nice because it is a really high-resolution Retina display, but a lot of the other smartphones at the time were up past the 4.5 into the 5-inch range there for screen size. Camera is very nice. It's an 8-megapixel lens, but it takes fantastic photos and very nice 1080p video. Slow motion video was introduced here on the iPhone 5S, although you only get 120 FPS. The iPhone 6 and 6 Plus would get 240 a year later. The iPhone 5S was the first one to introduce Touch ID built into the home button here. It's got a very different feel than the older style home buttons, as you can see here on the 3GS. This home button is concave versus the Touch ID home button is flat. And it is made out of glass instead of, I think the home button on these is actually plastic because they tend to scratch quite a bit easier than the Touch ID home button. Of course, that was carried over here. I have an iPhone 6S. Looks very nice. The iPhone 5S was the first iPhone to feature this space gray color as well as a gold color. So this was the first iPhone to come in 3 different colors, up from 2 in all the prior generations except for the first gen. Storage capacity stayed the same, so you could get 16, 32, or 64 gigabyte. Of course, 16 was the most common by far, and that's what this model is. Thanks to the performance of the A7 chip, which was a substantial improvement over the A6 in the iPhone 5, this iPhone 7 would get updates all the way through iOS 12. So 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That would be the most updates an iPhone had ever received at the time. The 6S has currently passed that and I think still holds the record for most iOS updates in a device. Although I do think the iPad Air 2 is the all-time leader in that category. So overall, this is a super clean device. Hard to find on iOS 7. And the iPhone 5S is a pretty cool device. I'm noticing some scratches down there on the bottom glass. You can kind of see they're reflecting in the light. Not the case up here. I should point out this is the first iPhone to feature that dual flash. You have two different LEDs that dynamically adjust depending on the lighting conditions. So the space gray iPhone here looks awesome. Of course, you do get a headphone jack, and there's no camera bump. This was the last iPhone, I believe, apart from the iPhone SE first generation, to not have a camera bump. But a pretty cool device here on iOS 7. Let's check those iOS 7 wallpapers out because we don't get to see those every day. They're some of my favorites. I think these look fantastic. And if I had to pick one right now, I think we're going to go with these mountains. I don't know what range this is from, but it looks fantastic here on our iPhone 5S. There you have it. That's been a quick look here at the iOS 7.1.2 iPhone 5S here in 2024. Over 10 years since this iPhone's release, and it still feels very snappy, especially here on iOS 7. Beautiful device, and I hope you can appreciate it as much as I am. All right, that's going to do it for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, I look forward to seeing you in another one of my videos.